So a few weeks ago, I purchased all of my PC parts from Jawa.GG, and today I am putting that system together. I have all the parts here with me. They finally came in, thankfully. Wasn't sure if they would, but I haven't verified if any of these work. So it's really gonna be a test to see how reliable these sellers are, how reliable this website is as a whole. So stick around, it should be really interesting. This is the Jawa.GG build, and by the end of this video, it's either going to be boot or bust.
Before we continue, this video is brought to you by Hetzner Online. Hetzner is a leading hosting provider and data center operator in Europe, with hundreds of thousands of servers in operation. By combining its strengths in innovative technology, attractive prices, expert support, and flexible customer service, Hetzner expanded its market both within and outside of Germany and Europe. They operate their very own high-tech data centers in Nuremberg and Falkstein, both located in Germany and in Helsinki, Finland, with another location in Ashburn, Virginia. By partnering with well-known hardware and software manufacturers, they ensure that their products have the highest level of quality across the board. One of the best perks with Hetzner is that servers are available in just a few minutes after setup. Hetzner Online is currently offering all AX dedicated root servers with AMD Ryzen CPUs, without a setup fee for a limited time only. For all of your hosting and data center needs, check out Hetzner today by clicking on the link below.
So here are the parts. I picked all of this up for roughly $1,500, which was the budget I gave myself. But if you were to purchase all of these brand new on a website like Amazon or something like that, the total cost comes out to around $2,200, if I believe. So we're basically saving around $700 right now. But I don't want to speak too soon until we actually boot the system up and verify that all the parts are working. I should mention, by the way, that the communication between the sellers and I was very good. I was actually really surprised. As soon as I made the order on all the parts, which I did all at the same time for everything, pretty much every single seller contacted me immediately and let me know that they received my order and that they were going to ship the product out ASAP. And sure enough, they did. Many of them gave me tracking information, and I didn't really have any issues. Everything came to me about within a week after ordering, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 items. I think the CPU took the longest, and that was only maybe just under 2 weeks because he was a bit further away, I believe, from my location. Back to the parts here. I'm gonna quickly go over everything just to give you guys a quick rundown of the type of system we're building today, which is of course just a straightforward gaming PC. For starters, we are working with a Ryzen 9 3900X. And I'm not gonna go over all of the prices again, but I just wanna say I got this chip for $300 flat. And because it was secondhand, there was no sales tax, which really kills you in California. So I'm really happy to get this chip. I hope it works. Ryzen 9 3900X, that's a 12-core, 24-thread CPU. We're gonna be putting that inside of the MSI X570A Pro motherboard. Also used, in fact, the only brand new in the box product that I got today is the CPU cooler. We have a 360mm AIO from EVGA. This is their CLC. Very nice. You can see it's still sealed. The power supply is a Roswell Photon 1050 watt power supply. I think I picked this up for what, 30, 40 bucks or something like that? Maybe 50 tops when you include shipping and stuff. And that's just a killer deal for this much wattage in an 80 plus gold unit. Obviously it's overkill for the system that we're building today, but most of the other power supplies that were available on Jawa at the time were much less powerful than this. I would say around the 500 to 600 watt range, but they were going for notably more than the 40, 50 bucks I paid for this. So far, this looks pretty good, although there is one giant dent in the back of the unit, as you can see right there, which is gonna prevent us from actually screwing in this top right hole, which is fine. I think we'll be able to get away with just 3. It should be pretty secure, all things considered, and I was notified about this damage prior to buying. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. It shouldn't affect the function of the unit at all. It just doesn't look all that great, but this is gonna be at the very back of the system anyway, so it won't really be visible. Over here we have a 16GB kit of Ripjaws 5. This is from G-Skill. This is DDR4, and I believe I got 3200 speed oh no, this is 3600. This is 3600, and I should mention this was the one part out of everything you see here that was actually not purchased from Jawa. I got this on Amazon because there was pretty much 0 options for DDR4 RAM that wasn't, you know, in the 2666 speed range. So I did buy this on Amazon, which at least gives me confidence that at the very least, this kit will work just fine because this is a brand new kit. We also have 2 SSDs. These are each 500 gigs because we couldn't find a decent 1 terabyte drive. So we have both Samsung drives, but we have the SSD 980 NVMe M.2 as well as the 970 Evo Plus NVMe M.2. I believe these are both PCIe Gen 3, which is perfectly fine, even though our motherboard does technically support PCIe Gen 4. We do have a PCIe Gen 4 graphics card, however, which is the MSI Gaming Z Trio RTX 3070. I believe I picked this up for around $600 $600, $600 to $650, which I think is a pretty damn good deal considering what GPU prices were just a few months ago. And then finally, we have the Fractal Design Define 7. There weren't many case options on Jawa either, so I was very limited. This probably wasn't my first pick, but it was available and it was a pretty damn good deal. But those are all the parts. Just for shits and gigs, I put links to everything in the description below, but those are all Amazon affiliate links. Those are new products. Those are not coming from Jawa. Just wanted to put those in there in case you guys wanted some more information on any of these components. But without further ado, let's start putting this thing together. All right, we're gonna start with the motherboard, which you can definitely tell is used. I don't think that's factory. I have not looked at any of these parts yet, guys. I have no idea what the quality of them is gonna be like, the condition. All I have to rely on so far is what was said on the product page on Jawa. And I do remember more or less what people said about each item, so I can kind of verify with you if it's accurate or not. Oh wow, they even have the chipset fan sticker still on here. That's interesting. They definitely put it back on there. As you can see, there's like some lint. But the board itself looks pretty good, actually. There's no like scuffs or gashes on the VRM heat sinks. I was expecting these to be a little roughed up. I believe the seller said this board was only about 3 months old, or at least he only used it for about 3 months. And it does look fairly new. Condition is better than I expected. Obviously, we don't have to worry about any pins on the CPU socket because we're using a ZIF socket here. We did get the IO shield, thank the Lord. 2 SATA cables, which we won't be using for this build, but it's nice that it came with them. Documentation, drivers. Still putting drivers on CDs, huh? Okay, looks good. So far, so good. I'm not sure if we should remove these AM4 brackets. How does this cooler mount? Let me go ahead and check the cooler next. Well, I don't need to check the cooler because it's brand new, but I do need to verify what kind of mounting system it uses. It's been a long time since I've used an EVGA AIO, so I can't remember if it uses the stock AM4 brackets or if it's got its own thing going on. If it just mounts straight to the back plate. Oh yeah, I think this uses just the AM4 back plate. So we do not need the mounting brackets on the motherboard. We can remove those. Okay, CPU. Before I install this, I want to give it a really quick visual inspection. So here's our 3900X, and you can tell it's definitely not new. The IHS is not the cleanest. I feel like he could have done a better job cleaning it. I don't see any scuffs or dents or really scratches in the IHS at all. It looks pretty pristine. It's just a little dirty from previous use. You can see a little bit of thermal paste on the edges of the chip, which is not a big deal. Personally, if it was me, I would have spent a little bit more time cleaning, but not the end of the world. And on the other side, I don't have a macro lens on here, so I can't really show you guys the pins up close that well, but they're all there. They are all there. Yay! Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the CPU is going to work, but it's certainly a good sign. Time to install it. Okay, sweet. Moving on. Not much to say about the cooler again, because it's brand new. All right, we got our AIO in there. This is the only other brand new product that is not used. I really wanted to get a 32 gig kit on Jawa, and there was actually a pretty good one for a decent deal, but the listing was paused. It was not an active listing. SSD, actually 2 SSDs. So we have our 2 500 gig NVMe M.2 SSDs, both from Samsung. I'll put the 970 EVO Plus up top, the 980 at bottom. And you know what? I'm realizing just now that this SSD is brand new. It is sealed. I believe the other SSD is that way too. These are both new. Okay. Seems like there are a lot of sellers on Jawa that sell brand new products. All right, we got the big boy. This is definitely used. The tape job is, it's adequate. Obviously it is, because it's still intact, but definitely not the work of a factory. Got the manual, first accessory, has been verified. And it looks like we got the accessory box as well, the very large accessory box that I believe has some additional panels in it. I see a hair, I see a human hair. It's gross. Looks like it was packaged properly. All right, let's take a look at this guy. All right, I switched over to the freehand cam just because it's a bit easier to take a closer look at this chassis, but we'll start at the top. I just want to just take a quick gander at the quality of the condition. Top looks pretty good. I see some like smudges, some fingerprints. Front I/O looks pretty good. We've got all the ports that look intact. Power button works. Well, I shouldn't say it works, but it definitely clicks, as does the reset, Type-C audio jacks. Top looks good. The front, you can see all the smudges, fingerprints, a little dusty. He did not bother cleaning it at all before he shipped it out. Overall, the condition of the front looks pretty good, although there is this little dent right there. Kind of goes in just barely, but it is visible. It's not a smudge, it's not a mark. That's a dent. I'm not super upset about that. I do wish it was pointed out in the ad though, had he like taken a close-up picture of it, just to make us aware that it was there. But again, it's very, very small, very minor. Dust filter. Tempered glass panel, looks pristine. Just needs a cleaning. No cracks, nothing weird going on there. Inside looks good. All the expansion slots are there. That's nice. You don't always get those with a used case. The fans are clearly used. You can see some dust on those blades. It's really not bad though. It looks like he probably took like a can of compressed air to it. It is kind of dusty in certain areas though. Overall though, not too bad. All the Velcro straps for the tie down points are included. We've got both mounting plates for our SSDs. Another one here for, I believe this is for a hard drive, 3.5-inch hard drive. And it doesn't look like any of the pins are screwed up for our fan controller here, our fan hub. That all looks groovy. Both trays included for the hard drive cage and just lots of dust. I forgot to actually look under the hood here. How does this open from the side? Oh, it opens from this side. And there we go. We do have the front dust filter as well. All right, so far it looks like everything is included, although I do want to take a look at the accessory box just to make sure. Okay, so here's our alternate top panel. You can see it's completely solid, whereas the default one comes ventilated, which I'm gonna keep installed because I prefer airflow. Don't like all my parts to be on fire. Okay, kind of a rough packing job here. I guess it's not too bad. Cable management cover? Oh yeah, this goes goes over here at the bottom. Like that. That's what that's for. Additional trays for our drives, accessories, mounting accessories, screws. Yeah, it's all here. It's all here. Thank God. Now we can move on to installing the motherboard. First we have our handy dandy IO shield. Another indicator that this is a fairly entry-level X570 board is that the IO shield is not pre-installed. I think we got this board for around 110 bucks. Great deal still, even if it's used. Standoffs are pre-installed. And we just gotta line this guy up. There we go. Now we want to secure the AIO radiator and fan assembly to the case, which we're going to do at the front. Since we already have two 140mm fans at the front here, really the only place that this can go without removing those fans is the top. Kind of nice that this AIO already comes with the fan assembly pre-installed onto the radiator. One less thing we have to do, although that would create more work for us if we actually had to flip these fans around or if we had to move them to the other side of the radiator. But fortunately, I don't think we have to do that. We do have to remove the removable bracket, right? I think it pops out. I think there might be a screw. Oh, push pin design. And now we have access to dust filter. Oh wow, look at this. You guys see this? This is like pretty bent out of shape. It's a little bent, twisted. It's perfectly fine. It's not gonna cause any problems. Ooh, and there is some scuffing. There's a lot of scuffing on the corner of the radiator bracket. You can actually see that it's chipped off a lot of the paint. He was being a little aggressive with this guy. Fortunately, that's not gonna be too visible. Let's go ahead and just mount the radiator on here. While I'm here, before I actually mount down the radiator assembly, I am going to plug in anything I need to at the top of the motherboard. All right, power supply. Let me get all the power supply junk. Dun, 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 dun. Lots and lots of cables and our busted unit. It's fine, as long as it works. I don't care if she's a little ugly, as long as she gets the job done, if you know what I mean. This power supply does not load from the side of the case. The little lip here is preventing it from entering. That means it goes from the back. Aha. Got a back plate, mount this to the back first. This is the third screw right here on the bottom right corner, but it is the last screw we'll be able to put in. Because again, we've got that giant gash on one of the corners that is preventing us from actually threading that last screw. Pretty solid. You can see that it does lift up on this corner, so it's something to be aware of. And I wish it was the bottom corner, not the top corner, so gravity was on our side a little bit more. I think it's a pretty small price to pay and totally worth the 50 or so bucks we paid for this unit. Fits like a glove. I dig it. I think at this point we just have to wire up cable management and pop a GPU in here. This is good enough for now. I'm not going to tighten this all the way down yet because we've got our PCIe cables that we still need to give a little bit of slack to as we're installing our GPU, which I'm very curious, once again, to see what kind of condition this RTX 3070 is in. This is the big boy. I guess the case was first big boy. This is little big boy. Don't really care about accessories with the GPU because there generally aren't many. Came with the anti-static bag, which is nice. Okay, so here's the shroud with the 3 fans. Shroud looks pretty clean. Pretty clean. I actually don't see any scuffs on it, really. Some fingerprints. Looks a little greasy here at the front. A little greasy. Got some human slime, but no scuffs, no scratches. Actually a pretty good condition shroud, I must say. And all the aluminum fins look pretty good too. You can see there's maybe a little bit of scratching on some of them, but for the most part, better condition than I was expecting. Especially because this was the cheapest RTX 3070 on Jawa's site at the time, and I just expected that for that price, there was gonna be a catch, either in the form of poor condition or the card just wasn't working properly, which we'll have to test, of course. Visual inspection, I would say, gets a firm pass. Oh yeah, and the video outs look pretty good too. No red flags there. And here's a close-up look at the gold contacts. Gold contacts look good on both sides. Yay! Final stretch, everyone. Graphics card installation time. Pop the card in, secure it down, plug in the cables. We are almost there. The backplate looks pretty good too. Out of all the used parts, I would say the graphics card is actually in the best condition. I thought it would be in the worst condition out of everything because it's such a big, chunky item. Gets banged around easily. You know, graphics cards, everyone's got their hands all over graphics cards these days, so I'm pleasantly surprised. The final plug. Being stubborn. There we go. Coolio. All right, build complete. A little bit of GPU sag. We can fix that with a bracket. It's not a problem. But yes, the system's done. Obviously, there's really no question as to whether or not I can build a computer. Actually, there might be, but we're not talking about that right now. The bigger mystery is, will this thing turn on? All right, here we are. We got it all set up to our peripherals, all connected to the monitor and stuff. This is it. Moment of truth. Does our Jawa PC work? Okay, lights, fans, good. GPU fans are spinning. Looks like I connected everything. Good job, Kyle. What about the signal? Come on, signal. Let's go. Wait. Is the monitor on? This monitor is sometimes a little finicky. Oh, okay. Monitor's turning on. Come on, man. Come on, come on, come on. I believe in you. I believe. Bruh. Sometimes it just takes a while, you know? It could just be installing early drivers, default drivers. There's a million things that can be going on right now that have nothing to do with the parts not working. I'm rebooting the monitor. Aha! Look at that! Yes, it just needed, the monitor was just being finicky. Like I said, look at that. All right, we've posted. We've cleared post with a mostly used system from parts on Jawa. The Jawa build is complete, but I'm not quite convinced just yet. I want to actually load up Windows and make sure that everything's operating as it should. I'm talking about temperatures, performance. I'm not going to do a full suite of benchmarks or anything like that, but maybe just jump us into a game to see how the system's actually behaving. But so far, this is really good. I've done plenty of builds, as you guys know, with completely new parts where I didn't even get to this post screen as easily as I did today. The PC gods are definitely shining upon me right now. All right, we're about 20 minutes into Halo Infinite right now. We're gaming it 2560 by 1440 at high settings, and everything is looking really nice. You can see we're getting around 70 to 80 FPS, thereabouts. Occasional dips into the high 60s, nothing too shabby. And if you look at our temps, our GPU is hitting around 63 Celsius max, whereas our CPU is at around 53 C. Not bad at all. Oh, between the GPU and CPU, we're pulling around 300 watts from the wall. I would imagine the whole system is pulling roughly between 300 to 350 watts, which isn't too bad considering we have a 1050 watt power supply. Plenty of overhead there. GPU core clock is running at 1980 megahertz right now, and our memory clock's at around 7000 megahertz, eating up about 7 gigs of VRAM. As far as memory goes, about 5 gigs. 5 gigs of system memory is being used right now. So we still have a pretty decent ceiling on that as well. As far as the gameplay experience goes, it's pretty much flawless right now. Even though most of the parts in this build are secondhand, this really feels like I'm gaming on a brand new PC. And considering the resolution and settings that we're running at this game and the frame rates that we're getting, I would say $1,500 is a pretty good deal. And this thought popped in my head just now, but you know, a couple months ago, I did do a video or two on trying to flip a PC on Craigslist. And I was pretty unsuccessful at that. I actually lost money on that deal. But after doing this build with Jawa, I feel like I'd have a much higher chance of actually turning a profit if I were to flip a PC using parts that I purchased off of Jawa.gg. Obviously, I have yet to test that theory, but based on the crazy deals that I got on these parts and how well the system's performing, I am kind of curious to try my hand at flipping a PC again, but using Jawa next time. If that's something that you guys would be interested in seeing down the line, let me know. When I first started this project, I'll admit that I had my doubts. I thought I was going to encounter a lot more issues than I did, but the whole process from start to finish, from buying the parts to receiving them to building the PC and finally testing it out, all went surprisingly smooth. It's possible that I could have just gotten lucky with the 8 sellers that I purchased from, but for a first time experience, 8 out of 8 is not a bad record. Very happy with Jawa so far. I think it's a really viable solution if you're looking for cheap parts. Even though the selection isn't quite there, I'd say that's the one drawback of this experience was, as you guys saw, I had to buy the memory kit from Amazon because there just wasn't any good options on Jawa at the time. Outside of that, I think as the site grows, there's a lot of potential here for it to be a real option for enthusiasts looking to save a buck, and a pretty hefty buck at that. Again, saving $700 on this PC. Yeah, there's a few nicks and scratches on the case and some of the other components, but whether or not you feel differently, feel free to share your comments down below and what you think about this build. And has this video series actually changed your mind at all about Jawa if you already had some preconceived notions about it? I'd love to hear what you have to say. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, toss a like before you go, get subscribed for more tech content on the way, and I will see you guys in the next video.